from 2014. There are many reasons to beat up the Liberal National Party over policy and activity, but as the press gleefully engage in it, it should be remembered it might not be fair or right. At the moment, many are tut-tutting Abbott over broken promises for something he has not yet done, but which he probably should do: cut spending in numerous areas. Will he cut elements of the ABC budget? Has he promised he wouldn't? The ABC would prosper were it allowed to through partial privatization or full privatization. It won't be less unbalanced. The recent attempt by the ABC to undermine the government policy in Indonesia cannot be allowed to continue. However, that would happen in the next term of an Abbott government. The campaign regarding election promises then comes into play. The ABC and their friends could claim they are confused about any cuts. As with the GST, they could campaign against it until the ALP are in government. Hockey promised to cut waste, so did Abbott. The hate media will ignore one promise and hold on to another. The Gillard broken promise over a carbon tax was a betrayal of the Australian people. It should be remembered that the carbon tax will never benefit Australia as a policy. It has not shrunk the production of carbon dioxide, and it has curtailed industry. However, should Mr. Abbott break a no-cut election promise, there will be immediate benefits to all Australians. The question is, and this is what confuses the hate media, was the Australian Labor Party lie the betrayal or the bad policy? Even if the issue of anthropogenic global warming is real, we cannot afford to do expensive, empty gestures. Another case of clear media bias on an issue where criticism may be legitimate is the case of former New South Wales Premier Barry O'Farrell. There are no suggestions yet O'Farrell has done anything wrong, but he looks bad for his association with hucksters who had been well placed after 16 years of Australian Labor Party rule. But it doesn't matter who is in government. They will have a limited pool of talent. The issue of corruption is serious and things need to be transparent. It is clear the Australian Labor Party ran a corrupt government and fostered corruption. It is a truth of management that anyone can be corrupt, but it is important to limit their ability to be corrupt. It requires eternal vigilance. As sad as the O'Farrell case is, it shows anti-corruption process for the Libs is working. But it also exposes the Libs to hypercriticism. And the disturbing thing is that there may be truth to the barbs, but the scrutiny has not been applied to the Australian Labor Party, and that is not balanced. Mr. O'Farrell would have been a fool not to speak to talented, involved individuals. Shame on those individuals for being corrupt. It is a legacy of bad Australian Labor Party government. A fabulous way to celebrate the life of the corrupt Neville Wran is to recognize how bad he was in office. One valid question of O'Farrell is to do with his support for the appallingly bad legislation of racism and censorship on the federal books. Mike Baird is a supporter of the bad legislation too. The fact is the law does not protect those who are victims of bigots, but can be used by racists to silence valid public inquiry. It isn't moral to support such bad law.